Seven game changers. Get the book. Back in the 90s, my comedy mentor, his name was Dave Fitzgerald. He had come to Bose Corporation. He was telling his story, his motivational, inspirational story. And he told this story that I had never heard him say before. And he said that when he was 35 years old, he had lived in this little triangle. After he was in the service, he came home and he went from the bar to work to home, the bar to work to home. So he never needed to drive. He didn't need a car. So why have a car? Because he went from home to the bar to work, home to the bar to work. And he said he lived in this tiny little triangle. He said, if I could just get a room above the bar, then that would make things even simpler. And then he said, so when I decided that I needed to get my license, much later than most people do, he said the first thing I had to do was get the book. Get the book. So if you're looking for a game changer in your life, what's that book? What's that book that would get you where you want to go? Hey, Susie, welcome. So get the book, whatever it is, whatever aspiration you have, or whatever challenge you're facing. Get the book. Step one, get the book. So if you're watching yesterday's, you know I was talking about when I first went to stand-up comedy. Hey, Rich, when I first went into the stand-up comedy club and I walked up to the comedian and said, hey, my name is Darren. I want to try this. What do I need to do? And he asked me the question. He said, are you funny? And I said, no. And he said, good. And he said two things. Number one, you got to go to open mic night and watch other people just starting out. And number two, you need to get the book. I was like, book? There's a book about stand-up comedy? Well, there's a book about everything. There's many books, but here's what I want you to understand. The Game Changer book is the book that people who are where you want to be recommend. So it's not just a book, but it's a book that someone who's vetted in that industry, somebody who's overcome that challenge, someone who's achieved that aspiration, what books do they recommend? And you may know my story, but hey, Jeff Stein, this was the book that Chris McGuire recommended to me that night. Stand-Up Comedy, the book by Judy Carter. So if you don't know Judy, there's a young Judy Carter. But this book helped me see that humor could, in fact, be learned. That was mind-blowing because you think, well, you're either born funny or you're not. But thank you, Judy Carter, for creating this book and the work and the energy and effort you put in it to make it a game changer for me, to literally see that you could learn it, that you could dig into your life and find your own humor. By the way, Susie got the Kindle version of this. By the way, she just came out with a brand new one, and that's the updated revised comedy Bible. So check that out. But this was the game changer. So this series is about game changers from your life and sharing them to help other people. And maybe it's a game changer for their life. But this was a game changer that showed me that I could go into my life and find my humor from my experiences. And if you heard this story before, you may have, when Mark Brown was first working with me, I brought him the first version of the speech, and he just rolled his eyes, and he's trying to be kind. But he said, we need another challenge from your life, Darren, something that was big and a failure. What would that be? And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, And I went back to what I learned from this book, and I said, well, I used to do this joke in stand-up comedy about my Subway sandwich shop failure. And he said, try it out. So I literally told the joke in front of him, and he said, that's perfect. He did like his impression of me doing an impression of him. It's like, that's perfect. It's the perfect failure, and it was funny. So it made a point, and it made me realize the value of that story and the value of our failures that we overcome. And then later on, I ended up using that, and that was a crucial line in my World Championship speech. And now I tell that story regularly. In fact, this right here was an article that was in 7 magazine here in Vegas, me sitting there chomping on a Subway sandwich. But the point is that this book not only helped me find humor and comedy and see the process and understand the structure of comedy and humor, but also dig into my life. So going back to what Dave Fitzgerald said, step one, if you got a big mountain to climb, or whether it's an aspiration or a challenge, number one, get the book. So whatever you're facing right now, what's that book? But not just a book. Find the person or people who are where you want to be, and what do they recommend? Because they can see the book from the level of experience that we need to know what is a good book and what isn't a good book. And if you're writing a book, as Jeffrey Gitomer says, don't just write a book. Write a good book that helps people. Write a game changer. Yes, you need to get the workbook next. So get the book, whatever that is for you and whatever your challenge or aspiration is. So that's game changer number 7. Get the book. Thank you, Dave Fitzgerald. Thank you, Judy Carter. And thank you. I encourage you to join me in this challenge. By the way, if you are a presenter or a speaker, an expert, or an author, if you need a game changer in your career, join us for Game Changers, which is a 2-day event we're doing in Vegas in March. And go check it out. You can join us live or virtual, Stage Time Live. Go check out the website. But no matter what, please consider the Game Changer Challenge so you can do 2 or 3 minute videos each day with one game changer from your life. It'll cause you to reflect, go deeper, and see what would you share if you really wanted to help someone. So get the book.